Oh, buses, I guess. Yeah, buses here. What team could this be? Southbound 75. Yeah, where are they from? They might be going to Ford Field. Never know. Detroit police here escorting 4 vans. Oh, buses, I guess. Yeah, buses here. What team could this be? Southbound 75. Yeah, where are they from? They might be going to Ford Field. Never know.
Never know. One blow. Back in California. My birthday party. It was great. Put that thing in your nose. You remind me of a bull. You know, they used to put those in the noses of slaves so that they could pull them around by it and control them more easily.
Your family. Even if you're by yourself, there's always something to be thankful for.
You didn't let me talk.
I'm asking you now, but get over here.
What? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Why am I singing a Christmas song for Thanksgiving? Because I'm already decorated for Christmas. But we just wanted to come and say, have an amazing Thanksgiving. With your friends, with your family. Even if you're by yourself, there's always something to be thankful for.
You didn't let me talk.
I'm asking you now, but get over here.
What? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy.
Ввиду того, что ваши родственники в Европе продолжают наступление на советскую Россию, Уралисполком постановил вас расстрелять. Что? Это здравствуй, революция!
The Americans from the revolution. Anytime they can go to people, no, that's far down the line. Tragic. Communism is definitely every
After the slaughter, it seems the Bolsheviks doused the bodies in acid, burned their and buried them in a mass grave.
Is that the Tsar and his family?
Not a great look. The mayor condemned it. The White House condemned it. But what about Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib? She reps Dearborn. Is she okay with her constituents chanting death to America? Fox Business correspondent Hillary Vaughn asked her. Watch.
Congresswoman Tlaib,
Fox News. I don't talk to Fox News.
at a rally in your district, people were chanting "Death to America." Do you condemn?
Talk to Fox News.
Do you condemn chants "Death to America"?
I don't talk to people that use racist tropes.
Why can't you just say whether or not you condemn people chanting "Death to Fox"?
Fox News is not listen, using racist tropes towards my community is what Fox News is about, and I don't talk to Fox News.
Is "Death to America" racist?
Fox News.
Is chanting "Death to America" racist?
Talking about your guys' racist tropes. You know, you guys know exactly what you do. I know you're Islamophobic, but you guys got to go deal with it on your own self. You're not going to use me.
Former Israeli politician Einat Wilf. We're done praying for God to save us, and we're done waiting for the Messiah to come.
Cards in history by a whole lot of dealers. Zionism was about the fact that the Jewish people decided to be masters of their fate, to finally take action to change the course of their history, to say to the world that we might be dealt some of the worst cards in history and by a whole lot of dealers, but that does not mean that this is our future. And we are done praying for God to save us, and we are done waiting for the Messiah to come. We are going to be our own messiahs. We are going to be the vehicles of our own redemption. This is the spirit of Zionism. The spirit of Zionism is the spirit of collective action for a purpose of self-redemption of a people, for themselves, by themselves. Zionism was about the fact
over 4 years, but now migrants are coming from elsewhere.
There's got to be something that you're like, man, I wish I could tell the world about this.
Oh, there's a lot of things, but mostly with immigration. I wish people knew they were letting in criminals daily.
The big issue for the Hill, for our region, is migration. So we poured a lot of money into Central America.
Like how much?
$4 billion over 4 years, but now migrants are coming from elsewhere, like Venezuela.
Somos de nacionalidad venezolana. Tenemos vuelo para Nueva York.
Entonces, ¿compraste un vuelo con Spirit?
Sí.
¿Por enter?
Sí, entramos con la cita de CBP One por el puente fronterizo.
So what is the end goal? Why are they allowing children? They want to change the demographics of the United States.
So our aid goes to female prisons in Mexico.
Some of them, yeah, to like help train them up.
I'm working with gender issues in Pakistan, so we're trying to recruit, retain, and advance more women in law enforcement. The question becomes, should we be spending U.S. taxpayers' money in our country on this issue? Women that they don't seem to care about.
Secretary Blinken, how close are you to him?
5 degrees separation. This is such a niche industry that flies under the radar at the average American person. People don't know what we do.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much to you, Ranking Member Risch, all the members of the committee, and thank you for the opportunity to testify today.
Yes, briefing's coming up in 2 weeks.
He has briefings?
Yeah, on the Hill.
About?
The FY 2025 budget request. And that's like with all the congressional people. Big issue for the Hill, for our region, is migration.
Oh my.
Stop migration. What are we doing to stop migration?
He's not accountable for that, is he?
Yeah, we do stuff for it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
It's called the root causes strategy.
Ooh,
it's getting money to support and help people at where the origins of the migrants are, so they feel like they can stay there instead of migrating out. So Central America, basically.
It's what?
It's basically Central America, like support and development.
Oh.
So we poured a lot of money into Central America.
Like how much?
$4 billion over 4 years.
Oh, it's like a lot of money for those places.
It's a lot of money.
Is it doing anything?
I think for them, yes, but now migrants are coming to Mexico there.
Right.
Like Venezuela, so we're like, oh, this is all my problems.
No. So what does he say to that? That looks bad for the administration, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it looks bad for any administration because no one sells migration. It's like the end all be all, like kill pill for politics.
Right. And I feel like if anything, the other side's going to win because of it.
I know. My dad used to complain about that. I'm like, oh, that's not that much. And then I see the chart. I'm like, oh, that's a lot. Like compared to like 20. I'm like, oh wait, they're on to something.
And I don't know what to say to that.
I really don't. I literally don't know.
Like, what would the administration say to that?
I don't know. And like I sit there too, and I talk with my coworker who like manages the migration for the system. And we always talk every time. We're like, I don't know what we do. Like, there's no clear answer.
Do they do things within the foreign affairs departments that people have like this money going to these women? I mean, there's got to be some things that you're like, man, I wish I could tell the world about this. Oh, there's a lot of things, but mostly with immigration, because that's the one that where the left is really good at immigration. I wish people knew that we're in criminals daily. Like when I was in, you have confirmation of that. You have confirmation. Oh yeah. So all the good, honest, hardworking Mexicans stay in Mexico, and all the pieces of garbage to the United States, and those are the ones that we love. We are literally, and the Mexican government has no reason to stop it because their garbage goes to another country and sends money back. Like imagine if the worst of the worst, if all the criminals in the United States were all going to Canada and sending back billions of dollars a year. Why would you stop that? I wouldn't even change the numbers of like if we let in 100,000 Mexicans a year, like let in 100,000 Mexicans a year, just change the quality of the applicant. Make it, say 100,000 Mexicans, but you can't have them in the U.S. and you can't have a criminal record. So what is the end goal? Why are they allowing them in the United States? Basically, because I mean, no, honestly, the people from Nebraska, like my family's like Americans that have, my family's been in the United States for 400 years. Traditional standard Americans are not leftists. Latin Americans all leftists, and it's just, it literally is. It's just to try to change it.
What's wrong with the idea of helping Mexico to be prosperous and great for Mexicans, and America prosperous and great for Americans, Canada to be great and prosperous for Canadians, Africa to be great and prosperous for Africans? Everyone should be proud of their nation, where they're from, and help to make that place the place that it can be.
Oh my God, this guy was, my first thing was when I heard about where this guy came from, I was like, oh my God, this isn't a one-off. This isn't a lone wolf. This is intentional design to start basically an internal physical component of what I call this color revolution. And this is just one among many that I think that we should expect to see. My first thing was when I heard about
my entire political career. In fact, early on, shortly after I won my primary, zero. I have never taken $1 from AIPAC in my entire political career. In fact, early on, shortly after I won my primary, and there's reporting on this, AIPAC approached me offering tons of super PAC money. And I turned them down. I've been really quite oppositional to AIPAC. Zero. I
often say to people here in Israel, and I say it to people in the U.S., the partnership we have is an important one for Israel, but it is equally important for the United States.
Yes.
And it is part of the message that I bring as an ambassador from the U.S., also an ambassador of the truth back to the U.S., that every partnership, relationship we have with Israel is beneficial many times over to the people of America. And it's something most Americans do not understand.
Yes.
But medical technologies that save the lives of Americans developed here.
Yes.
agricultural technologies that expand the harvest and the yield that feed American families, innovated here. Military technology that saves the lives, not just of Israelis, but of Americans, developed here. And intelligence, it's been said that what we can in military intelligence sharing between the U.S. and Israel is the equivalent of 5 CIAs to the benefit of the United States. So I want to say thank you for the partnership that of this world that we see, military, intelligence, agricultural, and military technology and innovations. That's important. But I want to say that it's bigger than that. It is really the partnership between Christians and Jews who recognize that we need each other, that we must stand together, because as the saying often is told, if we don't stand together, we will fall separately. Neither of us can afford to do it.
I thought that guy had passed away. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Union gets to determine what international law is. No, they certainly don't get to determine is how the United States defends its national security. The United States is under attack from organized narco-terrorists in our hemisphere, and the president is responding in the defense of our country. I do find it interesting that all these countries want us to send, and supply, for example, nuclear-capable Tomahawk missiles to defend Europe. But when the United States positions aircraft carriers in our hemisphere where we live, somehow that's a problem. So I would say that the United States is, and this president has made very clear, his job is to protect the United States from threats against the United States, and that is what he's doing in this operation. I don't think that the
Supercharged sunspots about to begin blasting Earth with powerful solar flares, coronal mass ejections, relativistic particle flux. Man, look at that. That's beautiful looking. Majestic.
Crime scene. The source. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're opening the case file on what you might call a cosmic crime scene. The source material for The Explainer presents a really radical theory about Earth's ancient past, and it basically argues that our history is not at all what we think it is. Our investigation starts with 3 clues, 3 persistent mysteries that just don't quite add up.
So clue number 1, there's the global memory, right? A story you find everywhere of a lost paradise. A time of incredible abundance and peace, but under a sky that was fundamentally different from the one we see today. The question is, why is that story so universal?
And second clue, we've got a forensic mystery literally written in stone. You know, ancient builders were obsessive about cosmic alignments, yet thousands of their oldest, most incredible pictures, they don't point to our current North Pole. They all point somewhere else, and they're all off by a pretty consistent margin. So you have to ask, what were they pointing at? Okay, the final piece of our initial puzzle is this really strange historical claim. It was by ancient Greek writers about a people called the Arcadians. And they insisted ancestors lived in a time before the moon. I mean, a world without our moon? That sounds impossible. But what if? What if they were remembering a literal truth? So to connect all these weird clues, the source material proposes one pretty startling theory, the Saturn polar configuration. The core idea is that for millennia, Earth didn't orbit the sun like we do now. No. Instead, it was tidally locked right beneath a brown dwarf. That's kind of like a failed star called Proto-Saturn. And this thing would have looked like a stationary purple sun, just fixed in the sky right at the North Pole.
Now, for a theory this wild to work, you need a mechanism that goes beyond just gravity. This one focuses on cosmic electricity. It suggests our solar system moves through these massive filaments of plasma called Birkeland currents. The best way to think of them is like cosmic power lines that can sort and deliver planets, almost like a conveyor belt.
So according to the sources, this wasn't random at all. It was more like a delivery. Proto-Saturn, being negatively charged, was basically pulled along this cosmic wire toward the positively charged inner solar system, with Jupiter acting as a giant motor. And then it just locked into this stable parking spot right above Earth, held there by electrical forces. The theory actually argues this was the default factory setting for a planet like ours.
Okay, so if this crazy setup was real, what would life actually been like back then? Living in that ancient world under a stationary purple sun? Well, the sources, they paint a picture of a world that is, well, it's almost alien compared to ours.
I mean, just look at the contrast between that world and our own. It's stark. The sources describe a planet bathed in a perpetual twilight with no harsh 24-hour day-night cycle. And the biology was tuned to this electrically charged environment, which supposedly resulted in giant plants and animals, including who were, get this, 8 to 12 feet tall and lived for centuries.
Where it gets really mind-bending. Human consciousness itself was fundamentally different. The theory suggests the whole biosphere was bathed in this coherent plasma field, and it locked our brainwaves into a low-frequency theta state. That's the brainwave state we associate with deep meditation, intuition, creativity. In an environment like that, a kind of group consciousness, well, it wasn't some lofty spiritual goal, it was just the biological default. All right, of this idyllic world, this golden age. But as you might have guessed, it didn't last. So let's get to the cataclysm. This is how the crime at the heart of our cosmic mystery goes down. This stable world came to a sudden and unbelievably violent end.
And the transition was terrifyingly fast. The thing is that Jupiter's gravity eventually just ripped Saturn away, completely severing the plasma connection that powered the whole system. What followed was an instant planetary blackout, incredibly intense plasma storms that scarred the Earth's surface, a massive flip of the planet's crust, and finally, the capture of the moon, which is what stabilized our world in a new orbit around the sun.
The source material is really clear on this point. This wasn't a slow decline. No, it was like ripping the main power cable out of an entire city. An instantaneous, catastrophic failure that plunged the world from a high-energy, high-charge state into the low-charge, survival-based reality we know today.
Okay, so if a catastrophe of that magnitude really happened, where's the evidence? Where are the forensic traces? Well, the theory argues the clues are hiding in plain sight. You can find them in our oldest myths and our oldest structures. You just have to know how to look at them. So the theory argues we have to re-examine these ancient stories, not as metaphors or dreams, but as literal eyewitness accounts. Let's take the story of Jacob's ladder, for example. The source material suggests this was some vision. It was a literal description of something real in the ancient sky.
So in this interpretation, that ladder reaching to heaven, that was the visible glowing plasma, the Birkeland current that electrically connected Earth to Saturn at the pole. Going up and down it, well, those were the visible plasma discharges, the energy moving up and down this massive cosmic axis.
And this is where the theory starts connecting all those disparate clues from the beginning. That Squatter Man petroglyph you see all over the world, it's interpreted as a drawing of that plasma column collapsing. The unique geology of Hudson Bay, the theory argues that's the physical scar left by the old North Pole. And all those misaligned ancient temples suddenly make sense. They were all pointing there. And the myth of a people before the moon is reframed as a literal historical record. It all clicks together.
Okay, so this brings us to the final and maybe the most important question this whole theory raises. What does this all mean for us today? And could a cataclysmic reset like this happen again?
Well, the simple answer, according to the sources, is no. At least not in the exact same way. The architecture of our solar system is fundamentally changed, and the key difference is the moon. Its mass now acts as this massive gyroscopic stabilizer for Earth, which prevents the kind of wild crustal flip that happened during the last reset. And this is a really big but. That doesn't mean we're safe. While that accident can't happen again, the underlying cosmic forces are still out there, The sources suggest a future reset is still entirely possible, maybe triggered by a major solar event or in the galactic current. It wouldn't reconfigure the whole solar system, but it would absolutely be an extinction-level event for our current industrial civilization.
And this really brings us to a pretty stark reminder from the source material. You know, whether you subscribe to this specific theory or not, it forces you to think about our fragile position in a cosmos that is way more dynamic and way more electrical than the neat little clockwork universe we're used to thinking about.
So this leaves us with a final and pretty provocative thought from the source material. What if our current reality, this stable, sun-dominated world, isn't the final state? What if it's just another temporary phase in Earth's long, violent cosmic history, an interlude before the next great change? The theory really leaves us to wonder if and when that bill might come due.
I noticed this from Notebook LM. Is that notebook language model from Google? What the fuck?
Does this hurt?
What he posted, he said, quote, any document signed by Sleepy Joe Biden with the AutoPen, which was approximately 92% of them, is hereby terminated and of no further force or effect. He says the AutoPen is not allowed to be used if approval is not specifically given by the President of the United States. He also says in that post, quote, I am hereby canceling all executive orders and anything else that was not directly signed.
Whoops.
Advocate that you hear every time we take a bad step towards more digital surveillance. Well, I don't have anything to hide. I don't really care. I don't have anything to hide. Well, why is that, a kindergarten answer?
Well, I would argue because a lot of these companies that are engaged in these mass surveillance, or the contractors really that are engaged in mass surveillance, don't ultimately have just watching what you're doing as being enough for them. They're ultimately interested in things like predictive analytics and predictive policing. So based on your behavior now and your behavior in the past, they want to use artificial intelligence to determine what you may do in the future. And in the case of predictive policing, that would be, well, we've determined that you may commit a crime in the future. And so we're going to, send you to a court physician, or, issue house arrest to stop crime before it happens, essentially.
Minority
is where a lot of these companies, well, yeah. And unfortunately it is that. And there's a lot of companies that have made, massive inroads in that type of technology, even though it's been hugely discredited. There's several companies. I think the most notorious at this point was called Predpol. They've since rebranded, but they were less accurate than a coin toss, and people were being, deprived of their liberty because of an algorithm that was hugely inaccurate. And ultimately, if you look in the UK, for example, some of these algorithms for facial recognition have been rolled out, even though they've been shown over there too to be hugely inaccurate. And there's no interest in changing vendors, even when this inaccuracy is demonstrated. So to me, that says that their goal is to have us induce and be obedience by the fact that you're being watched all the time, and anything you may do could be used against you, even if you're not doing anything wrong now. An algorithm could determine that certain, errant behaviors warrant you being added to a list of some type. And actually, Larry Ellison of Oracle, who is one of the main funders of Tony Blair's institute, that's one of the biggest pushers for digital ID in the UK, said this at an Oracle shareholder meeting, that, we're recording and surveilling everything, and citizens will be on their best behavior because they have to, essentially, and paraphrasing.
The fact that Donald Trump is listening to that guy is terrifying to me. I mean, he has put some people around him on this board that are not friends of freedom and liberty. They're just not. Larry Ellison is leading that pack.
Yeah, a lot of them are I would argue overtly and also covertly globalist. You have people, in that network you just mentioned, serving, for example, on the steering committee of the Bilderberg Group, which is, a well-known closed-door meeting, globalist conflab. And unfortunately, I think some of them anyway, have been able to characterize the policies as libertarian, for example, even though some of those same oligarchs are on record saying that the free market is for losers. If you want to get rich, build a monopoly. And build monopolies, they have, unfortunately. But I think, again, this is what I was saying earlier about World Economic Forum. There's an effort to sell this since they couldn't sell it from the left. The goal now is to try and sell it somehow from the right. And to try and frame it under metrics and dialectics that'll be more appealing to the group that was most against these policies just a few years ago. And unfortunately, with AI and all of that, it could happen if people aren't vigilant.
How does predictive policing work if at the same time they're trying to influence and manipulate people's opinions, thoughts, and beliefs? It seems like you're playing both sides on that.
Play the
climate change agenda has a failure. But it doesn't look like he is going to change course, John, because that would certainly show that his climate change agenda has been a failure.
Maria, Alaska has 100 years worth of oil, over 100 billion barrels. Canada has 180 billion barrels. And Maria, that does not count the Arctic Ocean off the coast of Canada and Alaska. I mean, it's
That's
infinite.
what I was looking for. Yeah.
It's infinite because the Earth makes oil. It isn't like the old days. People said, "Oh, it's from dead dinosaurs." That's not from dead dinosaurs. Right. The Earth produces the oil.
But it doesn't look like he is going to change course, John, because that would certainly show that his climate change agenda has been a failure.
Maria,
oil is a renewable resource. There's rivers of it flowing beneath our feet. What types of things? Is a political ideology that's responsible for more human death and suffering than any other. Communism. Historical analyses also cite communism as responsible for the most deaths, with estimates ranging from 60 to 148 million under regimes like the USSR, China, Cambodia, e.g. Rummel's domicide figures. However, this is debated. Critics argue overestimation includes non-intentional famines. Fascism and colonialism also caused massive suffering. Yeah, if you say so.
Get back to the point.
Something wrong with people in this world, I'll tell you.
Britons are soon becoming a minority. So I usually don't like to discuss or react to specific individuals, but I think today I'm going to make an exception because I just saw the discussion between Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan discussing the demographic change in the UK, where Tucker pointed out, rightfully so, that white people, Britons, are soon becoming a minority in their own country. And Piers Morgan reacted to that, saying essentially, why would that be a problem? At least we've got good food now. So let me get that straight for you, Piers Morgan. You are witnessing the rape, replacement, and murder of your own people. And your response to that is, well, at least we've got chicken curry now. Piers Morgan embodies everything that is wrong with Britain and embodies everything that is wrong with this specific subgroup of like right-wingers that aren't truly right-wing. They fail to protect their heritage, they fail to protect their future, and they have zero true patriotism and zero true love for their own identity. But he just became anti-woke at a moment in which it already wasn't risky anymore, really, to become anti-woke, because, well, you know, other people paved the way for Piers Morgan to become anti-woke, and in fact, the people who did that were the people that he used to attack, and still attacks, by the way. So once again, Piers Morgan, as I said, I don't like to discuss like individuals, but it embodies a bigger issue. And he's a despicable, weak man. And he tries to continuously get me on his show, by the way, which is hilarious because he blocked me on X when I called him a backtracker after he said that the facts changed regarding the vaccines, the COVID vaccines, because he wanted that to be mandatory, remember? And he refuses to unblock me, so I'm not going on his show. You know, I'm not gonna sit on his show under his rules when he refuses to debate me on the public the public market square of ideas. So yeah, that's Piers Morgan for you. I didn't know that he could sink any lower, but here you go.
Derrière sécurité. 5 mètres.
Oh,
5
$2 million to
mètres.
build that bridge.
Yes, sir.
What kind of fucking wood is that?
Mwangaika ndani mule hamuna watu.
Brokeback Gunboat Bridge, Mom. Oh, wow, they made the sun look like an asshole. That is wild looking.
Blamed Jews for everything. He assembled a staff of experts. Automobile pioneer Henry Ford blamed Jews for everything. He assembled a staff of experts to research the origin of European Jews. His research cost him several millions of dollars. His conclusion was that these Jews, who are committing all sorts of crimes, were rapidly taking economic and political control of America. He bought himself a weekly newspaper and used it to spread his anti-Semitic propaganda in a series of 91 weekly articles called The International Jew that claimed there was a global Jewish conspiracy to take over the world.
Khazar.
Automobile pioneer.
Khazar. Zelensky's drone boat hit civilian tankers.
Імперії впадуть у море звідусіль, завиють нам вітри. Не стануть у нагоді їм фортеці й бункери. До кого бігтиме щосил, кого попросиш, не мовчи, малий, зі мною говори. Розкажи.
Turn that music off. One of my videos almost got a strike from the music. It said it was copyrighted. I had to remove the music from it. quote, "We will attack Russian civilian ships unless Russia takes Odessa and landlocks Ukraine." Ukraine sends message to Russia. Wow. Why do communists always attack civilians?
Be a part of any of the ballots. What we were there doing that day is we weren't allowed to touch anything. We weren't allowed to be a part of any of the ballots. What they were doing is they were bringing the ballot bags from the individual precincts to the tables, and all I was as a citizen observing to make sure that the city clerks that they brought in from all across the county were doing their job properly.
I see.
And
So-
basically all we were doing was removing the ballots from the bag, counting the number of ballots in the bag, and then sending them right back through the voting machines. And I think Stephanie can elaborate on this, but I believe in Oakland County, they use Hart voting machines. And so what we were doing was just counting through the ballots saying, okay, this one has, for instance, 475. Are there 475 pieces of paper in that bag, yes or no? If the answer is yes, then we take them and we send them through the ballot machine, and then the ballot machine tells us what the result was. And so the first issue that I had was the first bag that came to my table. They walked it over, and on those ballot bags, they have a tamper-proof evidence seal. And what I noticed on the first bag is the tamper-proof evidence seal was changed twice. And I immediately raised my hand like, hey, this is an issue. Something's going on here. And I brought it to the attention of Joe Roselle. I brought it to the attention of one of the county commissioners, actually happened to be the lady that was at my table bringing the bag to me. Brought it to everybody's attention, and I just got told, literally, I was told that it doesn't matter for the purposes of the recount. And my perspective on that is,
I got to ask a question about this. You were
go ahead.
I don't want you to elaborate anymore, but I'm so lost here. You were told that it doesn't matter. There's a purpose for the seal. It's a chain of custody seal, and you were told that it doesn't matter. That's what you said.
100%, and
Wow.
I actually have that on video as well.
Oh wow.
Бачу капонір, і від капоніра хтось рухається вглиб лісу. Бачу, раз, два, три, чотири, п'ять. Це гасіть їх всім, чим можна. І дай по часам, на яку годину. Передають, що в них важкий 300. І, ймовірно, я так предполагаю, що може бути в районі 4 точки.
Ползи, сука! Ползи! Где второй? Ползи! Ползет? Где автомат? Автомат где? Выбрасывай! Наверх давай! Ползи! Ползи, сука! Привет на Украине, блядь!
This tiny object holds enough power to punch through steel. And no, it's not called a bullet. It's a cartridge, a little metal capsule that turns chemistry into raw speed. And inside, a design so clever it changed weapons forever. Let's crack it open. At the front, we have the bullet itself, also known as the projectile, the only part that leaves the gun. It's typically a dense lead core, often wrapped in a copper jacket, shaped for one purpose and one purpose only: to fly fast and hit hard. The entire assembly is held together by the casing. Made of brass or steel, this is the engine block. It holds everything together and expands when fired to seal the chamber, trapping the pressure inside. Next is the propellant. Not black powder like in old movies, but modern smokeless powder. Tiny grains that burn in microseconds, generating immense gas pressure. And finally, the primer at the base. A tiny, shock-sensitive explosive. One strike and the whole chain reaction begins. Here's the sequence. The firing pin slams into the bang. A spark ignites the propellant. In microseconds, pressure skyrockets to thousands of psi. With nowhere else to go, that force hammers the bullet forward. It races down the barrel and out at speeds of hundreds, sometimes over 1,000 meters per second. That's faster than sound. And it all happens in just a couple of milliseconds. One tiny spark, one controlled burn, one supersonic shot, all in less time than a blink.
When you study Auschwitz, Holocaust researcher, when you study Auschwitz, you study the SS and the German Nazis, what they did to Jewish people, and you study it, and then you see, we have on our screens, this is what they do to Palestinians to torture them. There are 10,000 people since 2023 as hostages. They haven't done anything. They're just in detention and they're being tortured. I can go on and on and on and on. So for me to see these people standing there, laughing, proud, when I have all of this, here are the bombs, here's the American bomb. Look in the face of a child that has no face anymore.
Israeli settlers burning down Christian town of Tebeh, West Bank. The village is known for its uniquely all-Christian population. Cars, lands, and homes, all attacked in a series of violent pogroms aimed at uprooting Palestinian communities. Wow.
mí.
There's another force applied in combat that we generally don't think of as a weapon of war. That weapon is words. Words are weapons.
Telling the truth is the only way in which to influence people.
This is psychological warfare.
My new weapon. Weapon of choice. Don't be shocked by the tone in my voice. Check out my new weapon. Weapon of choice. Okay.
Got it. A fucking ramp, bro. Snap.
I wonder how expensive it is to get concrete delivered like that in a truck.
Okay.
Interesting.
I was introduced to Project Skybeam by Lieutenant General Andrew. 1986, while stationed at an underground installation near Boulder, Colorado, I was introduced to Project Skybeam by Lieutenant General Andrew Garris. I was then led down a corridor and into a large hangar. A stealth bomber hovered only 20 feet above me. I stood there confused. Then Garris looked over at me and smiled, then asked if I was certain of what I was seeing. I replied, of course. What else could it be? I was then shocked to find out that this wasn't a real craft. It was a projected hologram. Since the early 1950s, scientists had been developing holographic technology, and over the years improved it to a state that we can only imagine. As I stood there staring at the bomber, which looked so absolutely real and solid that I could reach up and touch it, I contemplated the possibilities. What if this projection was 1,000 feet up in the sky? How would anyone know that that was an illusion? The Phoenix Lights craft, witnessed by 10,000 people, was the first grand-scale skybeam test upon the public. It succeeded beyond expectation. In October 1938, Orson Welles unleashed his War of the Worlds radio broadcast to the American public. It was so realistically portrayed, vast portions of the population went into panic. Terrified citizens scrambled to evacuate their cities in droves. America had been easily tricked by very simple means. To amplify this response, those who are truly in power, not only our country, but all the countries on the planet, and who are the true purveyors of the depopulation process, have formulated the final stage of their sinister plan. In the year 2024, a global event will alter the course of mankind's future. The world will stand witness to a massive alien invasion. Thousands of projected holographic alien warships will blanket the skies, sending people into a global panic. Real military crafts within the holograms will inflict actual damage to the surrounding areas to sell the gimmick. And as a result of the ensuing human chaos, a one-world government will immediately form without any resistance from the people. They will be the new world order. Once this happens, we as a people will be doomed.
Make sure it's all right. Yeah. What else? Right. Now I know that's in Germany, but the framers of America were very against democracy. Democracy is not a good form of government. That's why America is supposed to be a constitutional republic. So there are safeguards in place to limit the power. What did they think was going to happen when you raise the prices and tell people it's on sale?
Plague that has knocked out that many people. I can't remember the numbers exactly, but South Korea, you'll know, has the lowest fertility in the world.
For every 100 South Koreans, there will be 4 great-grandchildren.
Right. Like, there's never been a plague that has knocked out that many people.
96% extinction rate over the next 100 years.
It's incredible.
Of Koreans. Remembering that we shut down the entire world for something that kills 1 to 2% of people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's the most incredible evolutionary bottleneck that we're going through. I can't remember the numbers exactly. South Korea.
Reset, niggas.
sexual abuse in every agency level study reports to Congress, and it's scaring the bejesus out of me. It's saying that there's systemic child sexual abuse in every province in Afghanistan. There's even a if your audience is familiar with Bachi Bazi, there's a practice dating back thousands of years in that region of dressing. This is somewhat graphic if there's children listening, but dressing up male children as females, and they dance and they sexually molest these children, and that was happening systemically. And to be honest, I had been trained like, hey, there's child molestation is part of the culture.
This is how it is here.
It is how it is there. And I'm not saying that for all of Afghans. I've got one of my best friends is an Afghan, and like I've got so many friends that we've gotten out through the evacuation.
It's very common.
It is. There's good and bad people everywhere on earth. But in this particular location, there's some evil people. And one of the things that bothered me is that we were advised by State Department, oh, that's not illegal here. Like, it's just, got to deal with it. And for a decade, you have American service members who have put, some of these people in power and having to allow child rape on our installations and saying it's just part of their thing. Like, you can't do anything about it. And like, that mentality to me is just the antithesis of what we should be about as Americans, because that's wrong everywhere on the globe. And we came downrange to represent this uniform. And if we're enabling child rape on our bases, that's not a hard call to say, hey, this is wrong. We're going to lose moral high ground. How can I have the moral high ground to intervene as a country on good causes if we permit evil when we get there? And so in 2019, after that, however long we've been in Afghanistan, finally, through our influence, we changed the law in Afghanistan and it became illegal. And do you know how many people they prosecuted that year? 3. And in our office, we did the Leahy. So if there was allegations of gross violations of human rights, we would defund that percentage to that Afghan unit, right? And so we were getting these reports at the op headquarters of Afghanistan from all over the country about some checkpoint that was killing another checkpoint who would rape the T-boys that weekend. Like, that's the type of conversations we're having. So when we're talking about foreign girl baby, right? And then researching these reports talking about that even some of the orphanages traffic children. And then I think Stephanie touched on this earlier. I did nothing dangerous in Afghanistan. The only thing that we did outside the wire was we would go outside of our compound and we would process claims. So if we had a ground movement and they damaged a jingle truck or they ran over some livestock, they would do a message in a bottle and throw it out the window to whoever they damaged. They wouldn't stop because you could be a target. And that message would say, go to this gate at RS headquarters at this time and on this day, and you can present a claim against the U.S. government, and we'll reimburse you for the damage. And so we would process those claims. Like our Terps, we'd go outside, the checkpoint, and we would interact with local Afghans that had some sort of damage done by U.S. military operations. And so I was very, you can be very familiar with the culture and like, hey, this is a $20,000 cow. And like, I don't think so. And so I had to negotiate down to a reasonable outcome. But one of the interesting things about that is you would interact with the local street children as you go outside the gate. And so the first time you go out, you're buying their little bracelet or whatever trinket they're selling, and you're trying to help them out as much as you can and like be. And so I distinctly remember this one boy. He was exactly my son's age. He was like 7, and like really like a handsome little boy, like kind of like my kid. The different complexion, but just like filthy dirty and like in this environment. So this particular kid, he was, asking for money. So I gave him like $1 and I watched him go over to his owner and like give him that $1, like the guy who owned the kids for begging. And I realized like, there is nothing you can do to help this kid. And so like after that, we would just get him disposable like food or, stuff from back home, like give him a lollipop or something. It's something they could consume right then and no one could take from them, because if it was anything else, they would take it from them. And they would particularly get kids with like scoliosis or like kids that were more sympathetic to beg as we did that stuff. And so that's kind of the context of like evaluating the safety concerns for in a tribal society.
I mean, they use these kids to kill people too. I mean, when I was there, they would fill up their bicycle tires with explosives and have them right up to the gate or right up to a convoy or right up to personnel. And then the kid doesn't even know that the bicycle tires have explosives in them. And they'd blow the kid up just to kill an American. So that's who we're dealing with here. That's
absolutely.
This is who you're in a custody battle with.
Absolutely. And that's
I mean, not to mention, there's videos of this stuff during the Afghanistan withdrawal when that fiasco happened. We had mothers who were trying to throw their babies over razor wire. Babies are getting hung up, caught in razor wire, dangling because they didn't make it over the razor wire. You have babies being killed right outside the walls of the airport where U.S. controls it. U.S. didn't do shit about it. You know what I mean? And these people are trying to, they're hanging on the side of an airplane as it's taking off. I mean, because of Taliban control, because they know what's coming, and no mother is going to try to throw her baby over razor wire. I mean, there was babies everywhere just hanging from razor wire that didn't make it over. I mean, that's who we're dealing with. That's who you're in. So I want everybody to know that's who you're in a custody battle with. That mega law firms are interfering with, who want your daughter to go back to that. That's who we're dealing with.
Well, I think they've done a very good job at twisting the narrative, because I think by and large, the larger American public, they're not aware of the atrocities, like what service members have seen on the ground, what life is like.
I got it on my tabs here. I'm tracking, but it looks weird. My tabs, radical, it's not there anymore. It is attached to the craft itself. It's hard to explain.
So that's all I could say. Same arguments. So that's all I could say. I'm not, I have no idea. That's why we turned it over. What, like with a cloth or something? Well, no. I don't know how it works digitally at all. I do not have any. And I know you want to make a point, and I can just repeat what I have said. In order to be as cooperative as possible, we have turned over the server. They can do whatever they want to with the server to figure out what's there or what's not there. That's for the, people investigating it to try to figure out. But we turned over everything that was work related, every single thing. Personal stuff, we did not. I had no obligation to do so and did not. Thank you all. Thank you all very much.
A fabulous liar, I'll give her that.
Nobody talks to me about it other than you guys.
Never liked him. It makes you never Trump guy. I never liked it. It makes you think that at a fundamental level, it's sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
No, I cannot stand Trump because I think he's a fraud. Well, I think he's a total fraud that is exploiting these people. He's a total fraud.
Like you said, I agree with you on Trump because I don't think that I don't think he actually cares about folks.
Definitely, there is definitely an element of Donald Trump support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia. I think there's a chance, if I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, that I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. I think that I'm going to vote for. I'm going to party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place. For Trump guy.
Said all of that. So, but Jim, having said all of that, Russia today is not the same as it was before the collapse of the Soviet Union. I just came back from there, and people all over were talking about God and faith. There's a massive Christian revival that's taking place. The Russian Orthodox Church, which obviously predated in Russia, is having a huge revival.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great night.